Mr. Speaker. Great pleasure to follow the Honourable Castleton Wallington, who touched on David Cameron introducing the referendum. He forgot to mention, Mr. Speaker, that actually it was a Liberal idea to have an in-out referendum when we opposed the Lisbon Treaty. And of course, Mr. Speaker, what we face is a constitutional conundrum. Quite rightly, the member said we promised a referendum in-out if we won the 2015 referendum. We then had long processes in this Parliament guaranteeing that we would give the power to the people to decide. We then had the referendum. The people decided overwhelmingly to leave. 17.4 million people, the biggest vote in British history, the biggest majority in British history on any one subject. Everyone then said, what does leave mean? And the Conservative Party very helpfully interpreted leave to mean leave the single market, leave the customs union and leave the remit of the ECJ. And sadly, Mr. Speaker, what we come up with here does not deliver that. This is a betrayal of what the people voted for. In my last speech, you kindly asked me to speak, I touched on the impact on our laws. It is ludicrous that laws will be made by 27 nations imposed upon us so we cannot query them. You take the area of agriculture, totally dominated by the EU. It is extraordinary that our agriculture will be held back to levels of support of 2019 throughout the whole period of the transition. Our competitors on the continent will be better funded, have access to our market on free terms. That is a particularly penalised sector of our economy. You take state aid. We've had DLM and Guthrie this week showing the horrors of impact on defence, and there is no exit. We know that. The Attorney General said there is no clear exit, and all this is happily going to cost us $39 billion with nothing promised. $39 billion to have the right to keep talking and talking and talking. There is absolutely no incentive on the EU to end the talks. They've got us trapped. They'll be imposing law upon us. They have access to our market. They can clobber us when we don't obey our laws through the ECJ, and we will be paying. What's not to like? And we saw it from Herr Selmayr, who unwisely blurted out Passo a Neue Presse that he'd got everything, including the cost of losing Northern Ireland. That is the real horror for me in this paper. Carving up something called UKNI, a new political entity in which not a single elected representative from Northern Ireland can have any impact on that law, is shameful. It is a complete breach of the principle of consent, which was embedded in the Belfast Agreement. It's as Lord Trimble has said, it's a breach of the demand for the Assembly to be consulted. So I will not be voting for this. Thankfully, a very large number of other members will also not be voting for it. What should we do? I went to see Monsieur Barnier with Lord Trimble to discuss the problem of the Irish border, which can be solved by current techniques and current processes. And we have an incredibly instructive and constructive discussion. What we need to do is to go back to the free trade offer of the 7th of March from President Tusk. We should go back there on Thursday morning and say, yes, we will engage in very serious discussions on your free trade agreement. In parallel, we will immediately tell you we are going to World Trade Organization terms, which has come under the most ludicrous caricature attack because it's synonymous with leaving. World Trade terms means we're leaving. It's not as good as a free trade agreement, but it does mean we're leaving. That will galvanise the European Union in coming back to us. We've had Harkabas today, only today, the German Foreign Minister saying he would come back to the talks. So we will do the country a service tonight if we overwhelmingly vote down this agreement, which is completely unacceptable, pushing the EU to go back to their generous offer of a free trade agreement. We won't get it through in time. We trigger Article 24 of GATT, which means zero tariffs, zero quotas continued during the course of the discussions, possibly up to 5 years. Thank you.